So today I want to explain how accessing the 0th dimension works. If you have a cube that's in 3 dimensions, if you compress that down to a sheet of paper representing a cube, which is really a square, you're losing information, but you can represent a cube as 2 dimensions, as a square. If you then represent that square in 1 dimension and you squish that down to just 1 dimension, you just have length. If we ignore the width of this chord and we just measure this chord in terms of length, then this is a 1-dimensional representation of a cube. This could also be a 1-dimensional representation of a sphere. We don't know because we're only left with the 1 dimension. So if we expand this out, does it turn into a square? Does it turn into a circle? Does it turn into a triangle? We don't know because we've lost all that information. Once you then go from 1 dimension down to 0 dimensions, that's when you end up with no dimensions, just this infinitesimal point. In dream work, in energy work, in some shamanic circles, we can use this 0th dimensional field. Imagine if you could compress this string down into 0 dimensions and then expand it again into 1 dimension. Imagine if you were an ant and you were right here on this little spot and you wanted to travel to this spot on the chord. If we compress the whole chord down into 0 dimensions and put this bit of chord right underneath your feet and then expand the whole chord back up into 1 dimension again, you've instantly traveled to this point. So that's how the 0th dimension can be used in traveling, in terms of psychic traveling. If you can compress the entire universe down from however many dimensions it is, down to 0, then currently every energy is occupying that exact same space where you are. It allows you to connect to any energy source instantly, any person instantly. I use this when I read tarot for people remotely. I will first of all energetically compress the entirety of existence down into 1 point so that I am experiencing the same point as the person that I'm with, and then I expand it back out so I'm co-sharing that energy field with them, and then I can align my energy field to that person's. The 0th dimension, interestingly, is also where you find things like the source of Reiki. Reiki is outside of time, outside of space, and when you access the 0th dimension in meditation and you're able to collapse down your perspectives of what you think is reality, you end up finding things like the source of Reiki. You end up finding things like the Akashic Library, which holds all the different records of every entity, every being, every life form for all of time. It's stored in that space. So if you want to be able to access the Akashic records, if you want to be able to do Reiki really well, what you can do is learn the concept of compressing space down into the 0th dimension and accessing the 0th dimension so that you, like an ant, can travel from 1 point to another, and so that you can access all the interesting stuff that's outside of time and space.